My father just kicked my mom out of the house because he says that she's useless, but in reality, I found out that's not the case. The reason that she's being kicked out is because he has a mistress, and he wants her to live there, the mistress. Well, I find out the plan, and I'm not okay with that, so I decide to get involved myself. Uh-oh. I'm going to change me and my brother's name in this post just in case my father finds out. He's not online and hardly reads, but just to make sure, we're in a very terrible position right now. Scared and not knowing what to do. I've tried to remain calm when I face my father, but my brother Dario, he cannot remain calm. He's angry, and I'm scared that he's going to try to face Dad. If he does that, then I know that they're going to fight, and he will kick Dario out. See, Dario has absolutely nowhere to go, because our grandparents will not take us in. Mom asked them, but they refused, and they even blamed her for getting married to my alcoholic father. They don't want us in their house because they think lowly of us, and that we might just be like our father. I don't blame her. We stood by all these years and allowed him to do what he did to her, and at least my brother tried to do something, but then my father threatened to kick him out into the streets and pull him out of school. I can see every day that Dario's building up anger towards my dad. I don't blame him after the hell that Dad's put us through, but what he did to Mom today takes the cake as being the worst. I knew he was cruel, but today I see him to be the devil. Let me explain our family dynamics over the past couple of years to you. My father, he lost his job 10 years ago, and at the time I was 7 years old. I'm now 17, and he tried to look for another job, but he could not find it. He used to be a good dad, always there for our family and very selfless. When he lost his job, he started to withdraw into himself because he could not take care of us. My mother, who had been a stay-at-home mom because of our little sister, who had just been born, asked her sister to help her find a job. You see, Mama's mother started working as a teacher, and she has done that job until recently. My dad started drinking heavily, and it started with 3 times a week until it was an every-day-a-week thing. His breakfast was beer, and if Mom refused to give him money for alcohol, oh boy, he would just leave the house and come back stupid drunk. Pretty soon, all the bars in town knew him and would bring him home when he passed out, and he even got robbed multiple times when he was out cold. One time, my mom gave him money to pay our bills, and we had to eat plain rice with vegetables for weeks because of him. Soon, his personality starts to change. He started to blame my mother for the situation that they were in. He said that if she had not gotten pregnant and basically trapped him into marrying her, then he would have been of some famous football star by now. He always used to say that she stole his dreams. I hated him when he blamed her for that. He was still young and could still make something of his life. See, he had skills that he could use to work for himself, but he did not want to work. He fixed people's shoes sometimes, but we never saw the money. The money went to drinking and that terrible woman, his mistress. Somehow, even though he was very frugal with his showers and always drunk, somehow he attracted a woman. She was just like him, always drinking. Rumors started to fly in town that he was cheating. When my mother confronted him and told him to leave the house, he beat her. I was 9 years of age and my brother was 11. Though we tried to stop him, he was too strong, guys. He told my mother to get us out of the room or he would send us all to our maker. So we took our little sister Sadie and left the room, and his screams were so terrible, and they just would not stop. Dario put on some music so that we could not hear it, and this went on for countless years. My dad would beat up my mom, who would still have to take care of us, work, and make the money. He stole money from her so that he could go drink with his woman. My mom took more and more of it for years, but not once did she try to leave. I asked her why didn't she leave, and she told me that it was not an option. If she left, then who would take care of us? We would starve under his care. I asked if her parents would not take us in, and she told me that they would not. They had told her 1,000,000 times, no. My mother would have taken care of everything and endured the abuse until he drank himself into a stupor. But soon, that all came to an end. It was on the day that he broke my mother's leg, making her unable to work, and her leg was broken in 3 different places, and her other hip was dislocated. It was now about 2 months when I came back from school. Dario arrived home late from community college, so I had to call the ambulance, which never came. Then I had to beg one of the neighbors to drive her to the hospital, and when we got there, she already passed out from the pain. My brother joined us at the hospital later with the news about my dad. He said that he heard my father was somewhere getting drunk without a care in the world, and when Dario went to confront him, he tried to fight him, and Dario said that he punched our father and made him pass out cold. He would probably not even remember what happened, so we took turns visiting Mom until she recovered, and that was when Mom told us that the doctors advised her not to work for 6 months. Otherwise, she was going to lose her ability to work. She was constantly in pain and could not focus for a long time. When my dad came home, he was apologetic as usual when he realized what happened. Well, when my mom told him what his actions had done, he was mad. He asked if she had savings, and she said that they would barely last us long, and he had to get a job or we would all starve. And to our shock, he agreed to get a job and blamed her for being careless. All of his remorse was gone. He actually managed to get a job. He was hardly home, and when he got home, he was drunk. It was my and my brother's responsibility to make sure that he woke up every day and made it to work. When he got paid, he would give us money for food, but I'm telling you, it was not even enough for 2 weeks' worth of food. When we would complain about it, he told us to get a job. He constantly made my mom feel bad about being bedridden, calling her a cripple. Now that he was working, his ego has inflated even further, and he thought that he was the king of the world. Soon enough, he decided that he did not want my mother to live with him anymore, so one day he packed all her things and just left them outside. It was freezing cold and dark out, and he told Dario to help the cripple get where she needed to go. But he was not going to live with her. I'd seen this coming, guys, and he wanted to bring his girlfriend to come and live with us, and I hated him so much, and I just wanted to say something, but Mom told me it's fine. She was going to leave. She'd already spoken to her parents, and they would take her in, so she left and has been staying with them since. I've spoken to her a handful of times, and she sounds happier. She says that things are going to get a bit hard, but she'll see us when they settle down. And I don't know if she's going to come back, but I just do not want her to come. At least she's away from this monster from who we call father. I'm also glad that her parents allowed her to bring Sadie with her. I would not want Sadie to be in the presence of him, and this woman that he wants to bring into our home. My mom's not even been gone that long, and she's already coming and going as she pleases in this house. And every day, my brother gets angrier, and I just see his eyes say that he wants to fight the man. I'll update you guys. Update number 1. Hey, I'm back with an update for you guys. So, thank you so much for your kind words to my brother and me. We're definitely going to stick together. We're not going to let this man ruin our future, and I showed my brother some of the comments. I then asked him not to do whatever he was planning because I knew for a fact that he was planning something, and I tried to get a hold of my mother, but her phone has not been going through. The last time I spoke to her, she was telling me that she was going to file for divorce from my dad. She knew that he was going to drag it because he loved controlling her, and hopefully by that time, she'll have found some other ways to make money so that she can take care of us. She better do it soon because I've noticed that Dario has not been going to college that much lately. He's up to something and I think he's working. I don't blame him, for this man can starve us if he wants, and if and when we even breathe the wrong way, he tells us not to touch his food, and the only break we get from him is Kathy when she's here. These days, he does not go out to drink. He just brings his friends here. It's impossible to even do schoolwork due to their loudness. At least he does not allow them to come upstairs. He says that they'll break his valuable possessions, so at least I don't have to see them. It does mean that sometimes they hog our bathrooms and I have to go to school without showering. Well, I told my gym coach what was happening, and he allowed me to shower at the school as long as I got there early. He says that I should just keep my head down and pass, and he also suggested that I should call social services, but I don't see the point. I've heard what homes are like, and I'm nearly 18, and the system will just throw me out anyways. But still, I'm going to hope that things change for us soon and we'll be rid of this man. Maybe I should also quit school and ask Dario what sort of work he's doing. We could get our own place and be away from this man. We could then take Mom in and support her since she was always supporting us throughout the years. As for my dad, he can burn in hell with that woman of his. Update number 2. Well, we just found out that something has changed everything. Maybe there's hope for us after all, but we have to be careful. He's a violent man and can hurt us if we try to fight him, so that's why my mom stayed on for all those years despite what she knew. It turns out that this whole time my brother was trying to get money for a lawyer. My mom was selling some of her old jewelry, and she would give the jewelry to my brother, who would then sell it and make money. She needed the money for the divorce lawyer so that finally she could get that man out of her house. Well, that's right, the house belongs to my mother. He never had the right to kick her out in the first place. However, she was weak. She had my sister and he was violent, so she decided to lay low for a bit, recover at her parents' house, and start planning to get him out of her life. I guess that answers the question I have about why my mom is not doing anything to get us out of the situation. There was a comment that absolutely shocked me. You see, to this person I don't know, if you read every single part of my post, maybe you just skimmed through it and missed a few parts where I describe the abuse. Somebody wanted to ask why my mom never pressed charges and got him sent to jail. Well, I'm sure that if you go into any country in the world and check the rate of abusers that actually end up behind bars, you'll realize why she didn't do it. It's not easy for her to just get him arrested. I mean, he'll probably be out soon anyways, and who knows what he'll do to her. But believe me, my mother's been gathering evidence so that she can reclaim what is hers, and the way I found out about this was when I confronted my brother about how secretive he's been. I heard him talking about money on the phone with some people, and I had to confront him and asked him if he was doing something illegal. It would not be a surprise if he had turned to crime. You know, many young people in our community, they turn to crime for money. Instead, he told me that he was trying to sell some fine jewelry so that we would have fees for a lawyer. Not only that, but he was trying to figure out where father hid the title of the deed. Mom was sure that they were still in the house. We would need them, as evidence when we got kicked out, and however, it was not that easy to search. I told him that he would have asked me in the beginning. He said that he couldn't do it. I was too young, and my mom said no to involving me. If Dad found out, he could deal with me by making me homeless since I'm over 18 now. But he would not want me on the streets. He said that Dad was counting on the fact that Mom could not work and could not divorce him so that she could get her house back. Her parents, they were of no help. The least that they did for her was giving her a place to stay, and he successfully alienated them from her for years. Dario told me that when she asked for the money, they said that they would not give it to her because she had no way to pay it back. They felt that she was already an extra mouth to feed. I was angered when I found out what my grandparents thought of us. They never gave us a chance, and they wrote us off before we even were born, but it's fine. We're going to get our house back, get Mom's back home safe, and, plan from there. Even if she can't work now as she suffers from severe pain due to her injuries, we'll find a way to make ends meet. I'm already thinking of things that we can do to make some money so that we can be financially free. These thoughts are helping me feel so much better, and anyways, guys, I do have to go to sleep now. I've not had proper sleep for what? The last, few days because of Dad and his stupid friends. Update number 3. Hey guys, there has been a major development in our fight for freedom, per se. Dario says that I'm too corny when I say that, but it keeps me optimistic. It was actually kind of easy to get him out of the house, guys. I noticed that there was a deal for 2 multi-course meals at the price of 1 on a boat. One had to answer a couple questions to get an extra ticket, and when the ticket seller approached me, I was uninterested and running out of time. She gave me a website to check out before I just ran off to school. However, the wheels in my head kept turning like a hamster wheel, and then suddenly I knew exactly what I had to do. It was Kathy's birthday at the weekend, and I could see that my father was stressed. He had no money, and she was expecting a gift. She had not been at the house for days now, and whenever I heard them speaking on the phone, she shouted at him, and he seemed angry. When I got home, I put the tickets right in front of him, and I told him that I had a bargain for him. He asked what I wanted, and I told him that he could take Kathy on a date with the tickets, and I just needed a quiet weekend with no one coming to the house, because I needed to study, and I then told him that I would add a bottle of wine to the mix. He asked where did I get the money. I told him that I had some savings, and he did not ask any more questions, and I had him right where I wanted him. That weekend, they left the house for about 3 hours. He locked his room, but my brother knew how to pick a lock. We went through everything, but could not find anything. We were pretty sure that they were going to come back any time before we found it. I was starting to feel dejected. I told my brother that I would go and be on the lookout, and then I went downstairs and I heard a nasty smell, the first time I smelled anything in the house all week. My brother had spent all day cleaning and scrambling the house, and now it was squeaky clean, and I felt as if something was out of place coming from Kathy's duffel bag. She dumped it on the sofa when she arrived. See, she carried everywhere, and there was a horrible smell coming from it. I went to take it out so I could put something there that I couldn't smell, and as I took something, it fell out. It was not properly closed, so I picked up the pill bottle and gasped. Medicine? For what? Even when she was sick, she never took medicine, and my first thought was that she was pregnant. Now, that would be the worst thing in the world to happen to us, and I quickly took out my phone and looked it up. It was hepatitis B. I checked through the rest of her bag and saw that she had a script for us. I quickly put everything in just as it was, and the door opened. I called my brother in time, rushing to the front door so that I could greet my dad. But it was not my dad who was standing there. It was a drinking buddy of his, and he was one of the more common ones with father, who was really close because he was somewhat well off. I told him that my dad was out for the night, but he said that he was here because of that. He said that he had heard that my father had collapsed while at dinner. The man's wife was there with her daughter, and she recognized him, so she called her husband, which was Dad's friend, and that's why he's here. The ambulance was called, and he was taken to the hospital. They tried to call Mom, but her phone wasn't going through. Just then my brother came downstairs. He winked at me and smiled and signaled that he found the papers. Well, I told him what happened, and we just stared at each other for a while because we didn't know what to do, if I'm being honest with you guys. We had to tell my mom that we got the papers, but our father was in the hospital. Well, we looked at each other and we knew exactly what we had to do. I'll update you guys in just a little bit. Update number 4. Hey, sorry for being a stranger. It's been a hectic 2-week period, and my father was admitted to the hospital after he collapsed due to now only liver failing, but also progressed hepatitis B. You see, he was drinking very, very heavy, and then suddenly he got alcohol poisoning. Well, that's what I managed to get from Kathy, at least I figured. I asked Kathy whether he knew he was sick, and she transmitted it to him, but she told me that I was nothing more than crazy. Crazy? Well, I told her. I saw the medicine in her bag, and guys, she was sick, and did not have the decency to even tell anybody. Yep. Well, Dario told me to stop talking to her, and Dad was the one who decided to date her, you know. Well, knowing what kind of person she was, and now he was in critical condition in a hospital, and he wanted to see us. We had not been to see him since it happened, so we decided that since he did not go to see Mom when she was sick, he didn't deserve for us to come and visit him. I was already still angry with him, and now he was creating another problem by just going ahead to collapse. When I said that, my brother said that if it did not have to be our problem. He was the one who drank himself to the absolute point of collapse, you know. All we could do now was just see how far it would go. Oh, we communicated with her mom about what exactly was happening, and she just told me that she has been speaking to the hospital. She knows. There was even options of treating him, but the chance of survival was less than 20%. It was an absolute wonder that he stayed alive for that long. His insiders were literally rotten to all the drinking, and it was also complicated because she had already filed for divorce. So, she told me that he wanted to go and see her, but she was simply not sure how she felt about it. She has not laid eyes on him in quite some time, since the day he threw her out. Well, I told her that if she was going to see him, then she needed to take me with her as well, just because, he's sick. She doesn't owe him anything. And, he's weak, but it doesn't mean that he can't manipulate her into taking care of him because he's sick. She doesn't owe him anything, and in fact, if he survives this, he will not come back into the house. I've already started packing up everything that he has, and he can stay with that pathetic person that he calls his girlfriend. Well, he's weak now. What will he do to us? Nothing. Dario thinks the same, and he reckons that we should go and see him one last time just to tell him that we're cutting ties with him. We'll not help him with anything if he's someone else's problem now. Guys, please go ahead and wish us luck. We're going to see him tomorrow. Update number 5. Well, that went as well as it could have been expected. We did not get all the way that we wanted, but we got something. The highlight of everything is that my father is no longer in our lives. He's also freed my mother and is going to come nowhere near our house for however long that he has. Gosh, seeing my mom's face as she forced him to give back her power was so satisfying. So we met at the hospital during visiting hours. They would only let 2 of us in, and I asked Dario if I could go in with her. He said it's fine. He was just going to make sure that Kathy did not show up because she had a tendency to show up and start fighting with us. And just telling us that she was going to straight up kick us out of her own house. I wonder how she planned to do that when we changed all the locks. Once we were inside the room, guys, well, my mom spoke to him. At first, he thanked her for coming, and it meant a lot to him, yada yada yada. Well, then he started his whole little speech about how being without her had left him a mess, and I told him that I watched him destroy everything on his own. He had to get on with what he wanted to say, and he said that he was willing to forgive everything if Mom just moved back home. He said that he was really hopeful that she would recover and he would get out of the hospital and start working and they could make things work. So when she asked him about Kathy, he called her not so ladylike words and said that he was tired of having to visit her. And my mom told him that he had better get used to it because she was the only person who was going to visit him from then on. She then told him that she was there for him to sign some divorce papers. Just like that. Well, he said, "I'm not going to do that. What about the house?" She told him that she was going to take her house and was definitely not going to pay any of his medical bills. Well, he then laughed and said that he could just, sign the papers if he didn't want to and see what she would do. She told him that she could let him waste away and eventually die months later, or she could help him get some treatment and maybe have a chance of survival. She told him that she had some money saved up. If he signed these divorce papers and made sure that the divorce was quick, she would give him some money for treatment for the next couple of months. He agreed, like the greedy person that he is, and before we left, I told him that he was lucky my mom was a saint and gave him a fighting chance. He better not mess this up. I also told him to tell his girlfriend to come and fetch his things. Otherwise, I was going to give everything away to his drinking buddies, who was sure that he was not going to make it. Update number 6. Hey guys, this is it. It's a year later, and I don't know, I've just gotten news that my father passed. He actually passed away 8 months ago, and nobody claimed his body, so he was given a pauper's burial. Kathy's sister was the one who actually told me about this, and Kathy herself is still alive but very sick herself. What happened to my dad did not scare her at all. Mom, Dario, and I started a business where we sell handmade jewelry that my mom makes. She's very good at it, and we're able to pay our bills, and Dario is done with community college. He has a job, so his income helps a lot. Well, we work from home, and yeah, it's great, which is where Kathy's sister found us. She's been looking for someone to make a specific charm for her, and she heard about my mom. However, when she came to the house, she said that she recognized the home. She had once picked her sister up from there from her no-good boyfriend, and my mom then told her, well, that's her husband, and she said that the last she heard of him, he was dying from liver failure. Kathy's sister said that the way the man drank in his last days was like he did not even care about his own death.